Maybe it does mean. Maybe it might. Right. Maybe it might.
This fight is so close. They're so closely knitted that you got to look for all the small pieces, because the small things are what going to add up to somebody winning the fight.
And fight a guy who might put him in a dogfight, a real one, for the first time in his career.
When we get put in that position, we go find opposition to make that happen. You understand me? So when we go looking for the opposition, we're not concerned about how big they are, how fast they are, how strong they are. We feel like we got enough that we can bring to the table with anybody.
But skill for skill, as far as equality, to me, Bud and Canelo are equal because we're in their career.
The thing I like about Teo's style, when you have a guy like Shakur whose defense is that good, and he's not just a guy who's going to hug you, he can box, you know? The easiest thing in the world is just to pick him against everybody.
Right. Yes.
But Teo also has the kind of footwork, Malik, where he steps around guys.
Roy Jones Jr. and Max Kellerman lit up the debate over Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez, and it turned into a deep dive on mindset, courage, and what it truly means to be a champion. Roy made it clear, real greats don't duck smoke. They fight anyone, anytime, no matter the size, the risk, or the reputation on the other side of the ring. Max then broke down the stakes, and that's where it gets fascinating. According to Kellerman, Shakur has the most to lose. As the technician and perceived favorite, a close win isn't enough. But for Teofimo, the upside is massive. If he wins decisively on boxing's biggest competitive stage, he doesn't just beat Shakur. He flips the entire narrative of his career. This isn't just a fight. It's a test of ambition, fearlessness, and who's really built for boxing's highest level.
The undefeated fighter. He's seen as the eventual pound-for-pound champ, potentially. Yes. But Teo has more to win. He has more to gain. So on the one hand, is there an advantage there where Shakur is fighting to protect that perfect record, to protect that kind of sense that he's the next guy? On the other hand, Teo is like he can fight with more abandon against Shakur because there's so much for him to gain. And if he loses, he's lost before. He's lost to Kambosos, and he came back from that. But oh my God, if he can pull it off. Like, if it's a close fight and Teo could keep it close and we're going into the 10th, 11th, 12th rounds, is there an advantage there given that situation?
He came back from that Kambosos fight, but in some way, the jury is still out on Teo a little bit, because I'm going to tell you why. On that card that was done in Times Square, he looked the best out of, with all due respect, out of a lot of people that didn't look good.
However, Roy Jones Jr. took
the comparison even deeper, likening the matchup to Canelo versus Bud, a fight where power on both sides can be equal. The difference? Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez turns into pure skill on skill. No size advantages, no power edge, just elite technique, ring IQ, and precision deciding everything. In Roy's eyes, this isn't about who hits harder. It's about who thinks faster, adjusts smarter, and executes cleaner when it matters most.
Good damn fight too. See, that fight is skill for skill, as good as this fight. But they just haven't been around long enough to prove themselves yet. But skill for skill, as far as equality, to me, Bud and Canelo are equal because we're in their career. Because how accomplished they are. These two guys are also equal when they're in their career. Because they're accomplished, but not as accomplished as these two. But they're still equal accomplished. You understand me? So those are two good damn fights.
Max Kellerman gave high praise to Teofimo's footwork, pointing out how effortlessly he glides around opponents. He creates clean angles, controls distance, and slips past danger with smart, calculated movement. According to Max, it's not just athleticism, it's high-level ring awareness, the kind that lets Teofimo stay one step ahead and make elite fighters miss while setting up his own offense.
To be honest, the way I see it, I don't think that was the best version of Teo by a long shot. But even then, he was rallying in that fight late. Yeah. He has championship heart. And the thing I like about Teo's style, when you have a guy like Shakur whose defense is that good, and he's not just a guy who's going to hug you, he can box, you know? The easiest thing in the world is just to pick him against everybody.
Right. Yes.
But Teo also has the kind of footwork, Malik, where he steps around guys. And I think about Buddy McGirt, Meldrick Taylor.
Yes.
Roy, where Meldrick had quick enough feet where if you were going to come right at Buddy McGirt, he could box you. But Meldrick could give him angles that were more difficult. I think of Roy Jones, James.
Teofimo steps into this fight confident and fully prepared, and he knows it all starts in the mind. He says boxing is 100% mindset, and his is locked in, sharpened through relentless repetition, intense focus, disciplined training, and muscle memory. For him, every punch, every step, every reaction has been rehearsed so that when the bell rings, it's instinct, not chance, that decides the outcome.
Are you mentally prepared with the audience? Are you mentally going to be prepared with the certain punch selection? There's things that I have to maintain as well. Those are things that I have to work on within myself. It's a muscle. I think of it like condiments, right? You got your ketchup, you got your mustard, you got all these type of condiments, but you don't know if you like it or not unless you try it. And I think the same thing applies when it comes to getting prepared for certain things like this. Pretty much you have to try different things, different steps, different routines, different ways to see what really fits and works for you. And if they all fit and work for you, when is the right time to apply them? And it's a muscle memory that you have to create now. If you don't create now, it can harm you the day of the fight. The mentality part of it is going to really be the key moment for who wins that night. I'm that type of person, truly, that type of person that focuses on.
Meanwhile, Shakur Stevenson remains laser-focused in training camp, giving his absolute best every single day. He's sharpening his skills, refining his footwork, and perfecting his technique, while also preparing mentally and physically for the massive challenge ahead. For Shakur, it's not just about showing up. It's about being ready for every punch, every counter, and every moment the fight demands.
Right at that chest, it's coming, it's coming.
That was 9 rounds of sparring. I ain't gonna tell y'all the minutes, but yeah, I'm preparing to my fullest. So I'm putting in a lot of work and getting ready. Sure. Training with Shakur is amazing. A guy like me been knowing Shakur for over 10 years now. The boxing world know that we brothers and we'll never fight each other. And just being around him in his camp, man, is nothing but positive energy. And everybody wanting to be great. He's like my big brother, man. Like, he is my big brother, honestly. You know, he got all the wisdom in the world, especially when it comes to defense. So he's just making sure I stay sharp on my defense and not getting hit.
Wade, the host, highlights why this fight is huge for boxing. Both fighters could have picked easier opponents, but by choosing to face each other, they're creating something truly special. He explains that high-stakes matchups like this don't just settle debates. They open doors to even bigger fights and massive opportunities. In Wade's eyes, best versus best fights elevate the entire sport, and even the fighter who comes up short gains invaluable exposure, experience, and respect.
What people don't realize about making best versus best fights, for the most part, only good can come from this. I'm going to knock on wood when I say that, because I don't want to have one of these fights where we get a stinker performance or anybody. But when the pressure is this high, when the stakes are this high, and you get this kind of opportunity, it will compound interest, even sometimes for the loser as well. This is why you look at MMA and you look at the UFC, and they have guys with 10 losses, 5 losses, 12. Some people that you would never think are going to compete for a championship, and maybe they don't even compete for a championship, but they're in interesting fights that people want to watch. Doing fights like this makes Teofimo Lopez, makes Shakur Stevenson a bigger name, and therefore after...
Wade draws a comparison to MMA and the UFC, where even fighters with a few losses can build reputations and star in thrilling, must-watch contests. These matchups keep fans hooked and anticipation high. By stepping into the ring together, Teofimo Lopez elevates Shakur Stevenson's profile, and Shakur does the same for Teofimo. After a fight like this, both walk away with recognition, respect, and the setup for future blockbuster opportunities. Fans tune in knowing they'll see elite athletes performing at the absolute highest level, making every punch, every round, and every moment count.
Of that type of stuff, because what Teo's saying is true. Like, for him to go to the next level in his career, and for Shakur as well, they need to be tested, and they have been, especially Teo. Teo's taken some tough fights. He's beaten Vasily Lomachenko, beaten Josh Taylor, beaten Arnold Barboza. Like, these are tougher. Sandor Martin was a tough test as well. But my point is, this is how you get better. And this is why it frustrates me that guys won't take tough fights until they're 25-0 sometimes. And he's talking about Shakur's lateral movement, talking about how good he is as a boxer. This is, again, win or learn, in my opinion. Not that the stakes don't matter, not that wins and losses don't matter, but how are you ever going to really show your talent level if you aren't competing with the best? And Shakur has the same opportunity. This is Shakur's toughest test, no doubt about it. The Williams-Zepeda fight was a tough test because of the style of fight that Zepeda brings, but Zepeda is not the boxer that...
I love this type of stuff because what Teofimo is saying is 100% true. For him to reach the next level in his career, and for Shakur as well, they need to be tested, and they've been. Especially Teofimo. He's taken some of the toughest fights in boxing today. He's beaten Vasily Lomachenko, Josh Taylor, Arnold Barboza, and even Sandor Martin was a serious challenge. These are the fights that make a fighter better. That's why it frustrates me when some guys avoid the tough fights until they're 25-0. How can you really show your talent if you're not competing with the best of the best? That's what this fight is. Win or learn, no matter the stakes. And both Shakur and Teofimo have the chance to prove themselves. Shakur is facing his toughest test yet. The Williams-Zepeda fight was challenging because of style, but he's never faced a boxer like Teofimo. Sean Porter even says it. On fight day, you never know which version will show up, Shakur or Teofimo. But one thing is certain. Shakur always brings his style, skill, and intensity. Porter breaks down Shakur's last performance, noting how he adapted mid-fight, sizing up his opponent, taking control, and staying in the pocket more than usual. Even when taking some unnecessary shots, Shakur's bravery, strategic awareness, and discipline shined through. That willingness to take risks isn't reckless. It proves his talent and builds his fan base. Fans and critics alike started respecting him more after seeing him remain true to his style while making smart, in-fight adjustments. This is why Shakur Stevenson is one of the most exciting young fighters in boxing today. He can handle high-pressure matchups, adapt to challenges, and earn respect from fans and analysts alike. When the bell rings against Teofimo, both fighters are ready to test themselves, and that's exactly what makes fights like this must-watch boxing.
I'm saying,
nah, we gonna always Shakur gonna always be Shakur. The offense that we saw from him in his last fight was just, he knew what he had in front of him, and eventually he knew that he was going to be in a position where he could have his way with the kid who was in the ring. I'm losing his name off the top of my head.
Right, I know you're talking about. But I believe he fucked that way because he started hearing all the call of him running. He started saying, you know what? Let me stay in the pocket, because he stood in the pocket a lot more than he normally stood in the pocket with that fight. You know what I'm saying?
It took some unnecessary shots.
Huh?
It took unnecessary shots.
Well, okay, right. Mm-hmm. But you see what kind of fan base he got after that too. The doubters started saying, you know what?
Mikey Garcia weighed in on the upcoming Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez fight, calling it a huge matchup that boxing fans can't wait to see. He praises both fighters, but singles out Teofimo's unpredictability as the biggest question mark. Sometimes, the Teofimo who defeated Lomachenko and Josh Taylor shows up, dominant, precise, and unstoppable. Other times, he can have an off night, and that inconsistency is what makes this fight so intriguing. Garcia points out that facing a fighter like Shakur Stevenson is never easy. Shakur's technical mastery, lightning speed, and adaptability make him a nightmare for any opponent, regardless of size or experience. The atmosphere surrounding the fight is electric. Garcia compares it to some of the wildest Deontay Wilder fights he's covered, saying it gives him chills just thinking about fight night. This isn't just a fight, it's a clash of elite talent, styles, and mindset, and boxing fans are in for a treat.